Okay, my apologies, this got a little smushy. Um, but we're using the law of sines. I'm going to embed the, well, no, I guess I'll just write it out. Um, the law of sines says side A over the sine of angle A is equal to the length of side B over the sine of angle B, which is also equal to, this is all the same ratio, length of C over the sine of angle C. Okay. Now, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with, if we were to mark them, we're dealing with angle A and side A, angle B and side B. Okay. So the piece that we don't need to concern ourselves with is anything about C right here. That's true, but we don't need to worry about it. We're just going to deal with this. And let me get those marks out of there. I just wanted to show you what it is that we're dealing with. And we're going to fill in the information that we know. We know A, the A is the side opposite angle A, is 50, over the sine of angle A, which is 58, is equal to side B, we don't know that, that's what we're finding, over the sine of angle B, and angle B is 48. Okay? So we set it up as a ratio, and now we're going to do our quote-unquote picnic table method, essentially. Right? We're going to say this times this, 50 times sine of 48, is equal to this times this, b times the sine of 58. And then, of course, we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 58. And since these two cancel out, we essentially get b equaling 50 times sine of 48, that times that, divided by that, equals b. And that's where the picnic table idea comes in, right? So then we can just type that in the calculator. We can say 50 times sine of 48, and it's absolutely essential that you close your parentheses there. You're going to get the wrong number. Close parentheses, divided by sine of 58, close parentheses, equals 43.815 or 43.8 b. Okay? Okay, law of sines. We are going to find C now. So what do we have? Well, if we had, remember what it is. It says side A over sine of angle A equals side B over the sine of angle B equals side C over the sine of angle C. And which are we dealing with here? I'm just going to mark them for a second to see them. We're dealing with angle A and side A, because that's opposite it. And angle C they're asking for, and side C, which is given. So we don't need the B part. So we don't really need to concern ourselves with that. We just need to concern ourselves with A over sine A equals C over sine C. Okay, typically that's the case. You're only dealing with two pairs, right? Pair of angles, two angle side pairs opposite each other. So let's write it out. What is A? Side A is 24 over the sine of angle A, and angle A has a degrees 39, equals side C 38 divided by the sine of angle C. And we do the picnic table method. Okay, the picnic table method says essentially take the two things you know and multiply them together, divided by the other thing that you know, and the diagonal from that is the thing you're trying to find, more or less. I'll show you why I say that in a second. Okay. Now, essentially what do you get? You get, right on the bottom, 38 times sine of 39 divided by 24 equals sine of c. Now, you can't just type this in your calculator because you're looking for an angle. And so you could calculate what that is, 38 times sine of 39 divided by 24. But what you need to be doing is finding the inverse operation. That's how you find angles. Whenever you're looking for an angle, in this case they're saying find the measure of angle C, then what you need to do is the inverse operation of the ratio you've got. So what do we have to do? We say the inverse sine of that entire ratio, 38 times sine of 39 all over 24 will equal angle C. And then you can type that in, inverse sine of 38 times sine of 39, have to close that parentheses, divided by 24, close the parentheses for the inverse sine operation, and you get 85.15 or 85.2 approximately. And those are in degrees because that's what you're trying to find is an angle. Okay? Let's do one more. Okay, this is a really interesting problem, and I'll tell you why. Look at what we've got. We've got this angle A, this side A, and we've got this angle C, side C, and we should be able to, from that, find angle C. But we have nothing about B. They're asking us to find the measure of angle B, but in order to do that directly, we'd have to have that opposite side of it, and we don't have that. How can we do it? Any ideas? Well, we can, using angle A, side C, we can find angle C. And then guess what? If we know angle C, we have two of the three angles, and we can find the third by subtracting them from 180. Aha! Aha, there is a way to solve this. So we are going to solve for angle C, not angle B directly. Got it? So we say 50 over sine of 38 equals 74 over sine of angle C. Using the picnic table, we say this times this divided by this will get us sine of C. So we have 74 times sine of 38 divided by 50 equals sine of C. But it doesn't get us C. What we need is C. How can we get angle C? It's not like we can isolate it by dividing by sine on both sides. It's just not how sine works. Okay. Oh, let's do inverse sine. Inverse sine finds the angle when you don't know it. If you have the ratio, and we do. 74 sine 38 over 50 is the ratio. So if we do the inverse sine of that ratio, it will get us angle C. Ah. Okay. And let's do it on our calculator. Inverse sine of 74 sine 38, close those parentheses, divided by 50, close those parentheses for the big inverse operation, equals 65.66 or 65.7 degrees. So our answer is C, right? Gotcha. It's not C. Why isn't it C, Mr. Massey? Because we are looking for angle B, not angle C. Remember? We are not directly getting the angle that we want. We just found C, 65.7. Let me write that better. Degrees. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for B, and the answer is going to be whatever is left over from 180 when we subtract those two. Okay? Understand? So let's first write 65.7 plus 38. We add those together, we get 7. 3, carry the 1, 103.7. And then we've got to take 180, and we've got to subtract from it 103.7. And in fact, we have to do something interesting here. I'm going to do it in the blue. We have to do 0.0 here because we can't take 7 away from nothing. And even with the 0.0 there, we can't take 7 away from nothing. But what we can do is we can borrow from its neighbor. But it doesn't have anything to borrow from. Well, since in place values, when you're borrowing, thing can really only borrow from the neighbor right next to it, then this has to borrow from the 8 and become a 7, and that becomes a 10. Now it has 10 there, and you can borrow 1 to give it 9, and that's a 10. Yeah? So 10 minus 7, 3. 7 minus 3, 6. And 7 minus 0 is 7. And then the 1 minus 1 is nothing. So we've got 76.3. That is B. That's the angle we were looking for. So don't forget, as you're solving this, you might get so deep into it that you forget that the original angle that you're solving for is not the angle they're asking for. And we just need to find that and take the angle they gave us and the angle we found from 180 in order to find what we wanted, which in this case is 76.3 degrees. Hope that made sense.